All right, so welcome everybody to session 2 of day 1 of Spring Training Conference. I am your host, Nathan Dang, and you are at Storytelling Through the Moving Image. Welcome everybody. I cannot wait to share with you all what I've been cooking up. And without further ado, let's get started. I can click, okay, cool. So before we go, y'all need to know a little bit about me. So my name is Nathan Dang. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm a 5th and final year at Cal State Fullerton, and my major is communications with an emphasis in advertising. Some past positions that I've had included the Communications and Marketing 2019 to 2020 cinematographer, and most recently, Fall Training Conference 2020 to 2021 media chair. Little fun fact, I recently undergone LASIK surgery, so as of right now, I am glasses free. I can shoot lasers out of my eyes. No, I'm kidding. But if anyone is curious about that, just talk to me after because it's a really easy surgery, and you no longer need to wear glasses, just like me. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this. Yeah, I'm not gonna do any icebreaker because there's a lot of stuff that I wanna show. So let's get right onto it. What is visual storytelling? So this is a debate that is universal. It's been around for as long as paintings, really like centuries old artworks up to today's visual medium. And the most simplest definition I can give you and Google is a narrative art form that uses a visual medium. And the way I see it is a practice in visual creativity. There are so many ways you can point your camera and shoot however you want, but also how intentional you are with your image. So these are some of the stills that I grabbed years ago. This is from a short documentary about juvenile justice reform, and these are some of the examples that I'll be kind of showing you a little more of. But yeah, so there is the one rule that I follow every time I think about this. Rule number 1, it is so important. Show, don't tell. Because images can speak more than the speaking itself. We go to movies because we want to see on this what's happening on the screen, or we're watching a vlog because we want to see what the lives of these celebrities or these influencers are about. And for me, I'm always interested in seeing how people frame their lives, if you will. And visual storytelling is augmented by a scene where it's done with a variety of angles. And this is possible with the practice of coverage, which is the art of shooting a variety of shots and angles to tell a unique story. I'll give you a really quick example of what visual storytelling can do to an audience when they really sit down and just analyze. So I got the first clip here, which is 2 guys sitting at a couch, just watching a cringy 80s TV show, and then they hear a knock in the distance, and then they peek over. Now, pay attention to where the camera is. We're relatively close to them, so it's like we're there with them. The next shot is, from their perspective, the door opens up from afar and we see a gift basket. And remember, this is from afar, so we're still seeing from those 2 guys' perspectives. However, when we cut to the third shot, now we're in the perspective of the gift basket. It's as if the gift basket is a presence of its own. And these 2 guys are now peeking over. They're more curious as to see, like, what is this now? Like, it's not just some gift basket that just showed up out of nowhere. There's obviously something more to it, so it's alluding to something further. And the final shot is now a close-up of the gift basket. Now we cut back to the perspective of 2 guys, but except they're concentrated now on the gift basket. So you see how the camera is moving back and forth to tell a tension-rising plot point. This is one of many, many examples of visual storytelling. Now, I doubt that anyone has seen this scene before because it hasn't, even though it has gained some traction, it doesn't target our audience per se. And this is why I think that it's appropriate to show everyone here something a little more familiar. So I want to show this. And after this little viewing, I'll ask everybody what they think, just initial thoughts, and then we'll go from here. If you're expecting to sip now, this is the time. So without further ado, let's get started.
Stars overhead, turn my head and I caught you by eye for the first time. My life to serve, look no further, I've finally found something to hold on to. I couldn't believe it, I couldn't see it, for someone to see me like you do, and over and over anew, seen and known. It started
Okay. I'll give you guys a few seconds to just formulate your thoughts if you guys want to share anything. Just a disclaimer, this is a totally subjective method. There's no like right or wrong answer. It's more so of how you feel. This is the main reason why I want to host this, is because I want to challenge everyone's minds as to how the audience thinks about certain things. So if you guys want to type in the chat what do you guys think, or raise your hands, you guys can talk. I'll give you a couple minutes. Would anyone like to share? I want to hear the beautiful voices. Yeah, in the chat it said, Kevin Wong says, I felt sad and never attended in-person FTC. Yep. That was definitely me last term. Even though I made this, and I really wanted to show, like, I wanted to bring the experience closer to members, especially who've never been before. But yeah, the reality is that we still never got to go last term. So, and Michelle Chan says, music swell after quiet plus flashbacks, instant tears. Yep, that's definitely relatable. Yeah, formulating that was a challenge, but I'm glad it was worth it. But yeah, if there's no one who would like to share, then we will move on. There's a reason. Oh, hold on, Gio. unmute.
I thought you were gonna continue. I was just like,
no.
sad.
Go ahead.
No, I think I think in terms of like visual storytelling, the thing about like how you framed everything was that every single scene and every single moment of like Old Oak Ranch always had a flashback connected to it. Like you had a flashback at Duncan Lounge, and then you had scenes in Duncan Lounge. You had the amphitheater, and then there was like campfire skits. So I think that adds to the deep like emotional connection a lot of people feel, especially those that went to FTC, because they can see those events happening again in their memory. And for those that didn't go, they can see how like these empty spaces are filled with memories of like Circle K, and how like our current situation now, but like the pandemic and everything, it all like connects. And even though like Kevin said he never attended in-person FTC, it adds to that level of connection that you're still like a part of that event, especially because this was shown like over online at FTC. It was still like you're still a part of the event, you're still here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks so much, Gio. Angelina, you have something to say?
Yeah. Okay. Having never attended like an in-person FGC, I definitely felt like reminiscent with all the flashbacks that Chio had mentioned and that he had included. And in a sense, it just made me feel like connected, even though I've never gone. I could envision like, oh, this would be happening if we were there.
Yeah. And just so that you guys know, Angelina's a new member. So she's never been to FTC before. This is her first year in Circle K. So to hear that from her is honestly like, it fulfilled my role as the media chair. So I'm forever grateful for your response. But yeah, I'm so glad that everyone feels different things. That's kind of the whole point, because no one is going to come in with the same perspective. However, I want to share my perspective on how this was made. And I'm going to get a little technical, but please bear with me. I promise you it won't be boring. So let's get right into it. Get here. The opening shot definitely was intentional. So this sets the tone for an intimate journey. unlike the past FTC closing site shows, this was definitely a more, I don't want to say somber, but more melancholic, slightly melancholic feel, because the past closing site shows were super high energy, a lot of like loud noises and screams, and it was like, you know, it's something that you want to be there for, but obviously that wasn't the case. So I had to sort of rewrite the tone of it, if that makes sense. And as far as the framing goes, I kind of wanted to show off the desolation of Oro Ranch. So you notice like the tree remnants on the ground, it kind of portrays like a dusty, but also desolate setting. And then there's literally one member in the center. So I wanted to make the person feel small in relation to the setting. Now, this was unique because I feel I had to juggle 3 different timelines. So the first one is Oro Ranch of 2020, which is the day that we were there to film the closing site show. Oro Ranch in the past, and third, the bedroom. Perhaps the most relatable setting that we're all in, which is why I wanted to include that. But juggling these 3 together, I thought would have a profound effect on the audience, just because, you know, as people, we like to think back a lot, as little as we like to talk about it, but our minds kind of say otherwise. So that was kind of the emotion that I wanted to bring out. So, and these are some of the frames at the beginning where our FTC chair, Aaron, was walking down the literal memory lane. To those who've never been to Oro Ranch, there's a main road, and it's like huge. And we all walk up and down all the time. And I kind of wanted to show that, you know, it's still there, except when someone like Aaron walks through and he looks to the side, there's a pass clip of FTC at the same exact spot. And the way that these members are shown in relation to Aaron is like, they're kind of like looking at him almost. They're saying, you can do it. Like, you're so close to the end. This is FTC 2020. Like, you're so close to the finish line. And for me, I wanted that quote unquote direct eye contact between Aaron in a different timeline and the members from the past. So it's almost like it's interconnecting each other. And I think that's what people were telling me about when they saw that first, because they were saying, yeah, it's kind of like the CNH multiverse. They were kind of saying, you know, I really felt that, because even though we're through different times, the feeling is all the same. Same way when Aaron arrives at the main hall, because everything happens in the main hall. I wanted to show Aaron and the main hall in the same frame, just so that, 1, it exists, but 2, you know, there's so much activity that goes on there. So you have the main sessions, the workshops, new member installation, which is perhaps like one of the largest sections of the event, and just kind of showing different aspects of it. So it wasn't just the main hall, but like there are like rooms like under on the floors beneath and everything. That's where everything was like hosted. But yeah, that was simply just a walk by himself. And then we go to this. This is the campfire section. I title this Campfire Silent Noises because even though campfire has a very loud energy to it, because whenever I think about it, it's always, you know, good vibes, very, very loud performances, very exciting. But this particular section, I wanted the song to be a little bit quiet, because not only are there slower, intimate shots that show a different side of campfire, but because the audience can play the noise in their head. So I feel like this especially hits for members who've been to campfire before, who remember the loud noises and the cheers and the excitement. They can play that in their head while the song is gently strolling through the flashbacks. Here's a quick example of what I mean.
Couldn't believe it. I couldn't see it for someone to see me like you do.
Yeah, it happens really quick, but that was the sort of thing that I wanted to have an idea for. And the next part, the scrapbook. So this scrapbook was probably one of the most important pieces of the entirety of STC 2020, because for me it represents the bridge between the three timelines. No matter what time you're in, you're going to be looking at the same scrapbook. This holds the 2020 storyline together. So having flipping through the pages in the piece, to me it represents, you know, him going through the same memories that he walked through as he went down memory lane himself. The scrapbook design and obviously the content was talked about. It was a lot of like brainstorming between, and then we ended up with a very simplistic design that portrayed enough information to show that it's a scrapbook, while at the same time not be too ostentatious about it. Next part. And this thing was pretty interesting to me as I was filming Closing Slideshow back in September, and then in late October. This is when he closes the scrapbook at Old Oak Ranch. It's technically in the timeline, it's the first time he does it. And then we see the empty photo frame in the beginning. Now keep in mind, we're on the right side of the frame. However, when we're back here in the bedroom, which is in the future beyond everything else, we're on the other side of the frame. And for me, this shows that these are both timelines, they're framed at opposite sides. So we're juxtaposing different timelines simply through how we frame it without even saying anything. Again, another example of visual storytelling. The alpha, the beginning, and the omega, the very end. And this part was pretty cool for me because right after Aaron closes the scrapbook, we enter a montage of the past FTCs. And then I had this idea of like, these past memories are possibly the final photo, because this happens right after we see the empty photo frame on the scrapbook. So any of these could be a memory. And this also kind of builds that suspense now that the scrapbook has more importance than before. We as an audience are more curious of what that final photo is going to be. And another thing about the memory montage is, you know, when we close a scrapbook, the curiosity raises as he inserts the final picture in the bedroom. And in this montage, a certain part of the song plays where the guitar gently strums and it sounds like a clock ticking that represents the passage of time. I'll play this again just so you guys can hear.
It started with you.
It'll come up in a second. Hear that? And yeah, the passage of time represents not only through Old Oak Ranch in the day, but also through the years. So it's kind of telling two stories with just that one montage. Like, that's crazy. Like, it shows that you don't need a lot of like crazy editing and super high, you know, cuts to tell a story. If you know what you're doing with the message, then it will translate the way you want to. And we move on to the final sequence. And I say sequence because this is just from here to the very end of the Closing Slideshow. This is one of my favorite shots in the Closing Slideshow because it was super last minute. Actually, I wanted to film this earlier in the day, but Jason and Aaron were telling me like, let's just do it at night. It's like, okay, I'll do it at night. And it turned out a lot better than I expected, story-wise, because this is, instead of the first look at Rook Ranch, it's the last look. And I think that this moment is so amplified at the fact that that the song is at a crescendo, which is the loudest point reached in a gradually increasing sound. Crescendos are used everywhere. In any song that you listen to, if it has the highest point, that's a crescendo. If you listen to a movie soundtrack and you hear the strings just kind of swelling up until it explodes in this bombastic, emotional response, that's the crescendo. There's so many ways to use it, but in this case, the song only had one. And this is why. I wanted to intensify the emotion of this moment. I didn't want multiple crescendos because the scene would not stand out from the rest. I'll play the clip again just so you guys can get a feel for it. We'll start back from the montage. This is where it starts building up. The tempo rises, more instruments are being played, the volume raises. Right here, this is it. In your heartbeat, feel it rising. This is exactly what it's doing. Yeah, and then we cut to final scene. This is when Aaron closes the scrapbook for the last time in the storyline, technically. I remember giving him a specific direction, saying, this is not only the end of a chapter in Circle K, but it's also the end of a chapter in your early adult life, and this is the time to close the book and shelf it up and move on to the next chapter. It was, to me, it was a surreal moment because I'm all about how things end, and if you have a good ending, people are going to remember that for a very long time. He closes the scrapbook and we gently cut to the final shot. This is a photo of Aaron and our late and dear friend Dylan Huynh. If you guys never had the pleasure of meeting Dylan, he was an awesome member in the CNH district. He was very encouraging. He had a very bubbly personality, and for me, getting to know him myself, like I was glad to have him. I was glad that he was one of my friends. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2019, and that really hit a lot for some of us members. And this was something that me and Aaron were kind of talking about at the beginning of district committee duration. It was actually his idea to show this as the final shot. And when he said that, I was like, I'm suddenly motivated to get this made, because it says something about him, and it says something about the members who've had a connection with him across the district. So yeah, that is basically from beginning to end. But what if that wasn't all? What if there was something else that everyone might have missed? And this is why I have another slide. It's called Music Tells a Second Story. I am a firm believer in soundtracks, songs, music, driving the story to the end. And to those who really like the song and for the lyrics for what they said, that was definitely intentional. It's a song called Started With You by Chapters. I'm in no way associated with them, nor am I sponsored by them. I just really love their music. And I just found that this song just fits so well with the piece that I wanted to tell. Certain lyrics like would have run, but instead you were watching, you were listening. There's a shot of Dylan in there. It started with you. Dylan pops up again. So his presence is living in the song. There are so many, I feel like there's so many hints that members don't get the first time, which is my intent, which is why I encourage members to watch it a second time just so they can figure it out for themselves. And this song, for me, it reflects the idea of his presence just watching over us, especially made apparent at the beginning of closing slideshow when Aaron was walking down, and you know, it's not just him, but it's everyone that he's influenced to finish the journey. I'll play a clip again just so I can show you guys here.
Would have run, but instead you were watching.
Right there.
You were listening.
Okay. And another one up here.
It started with you.
And for good measure, he's looking at the photo. Now that you know what it is, it hits every time. Because I look back at this and I think, you know, there's definitely some meaning behind it. And as a creator, I'm very honored, and I feel fulfilled to create something like this because it's bigger than me as a person. It speaks for so many members across the district, and I think that was the effect that we had on the final day in the closing session. So why in the heck does all of this matter? Why am I like opening up to you, and why am I showing you all these things? Well, I have a few reasons. Because visual storytelling is a reflection of how we see and experience life. Artists are out there, they're visualizing how they see life. They become more intentional with more experiences that they go through. And this is why I say it reflects us as people. And as filmmakers and videographers, our intent has always been to, quote unquote, insert ourselves into the pieces we create. And with that, this is probably one of the most important statements that I tell myself is, you have to believe in the story you are telling more than anyone else. You must. Because the moment that it falters, you are afraid of your story. I'll leave that right there. And I say that you have to believe in the story that you're telling because the story, the message that you are ultimately passionate about can say something about you as a person. Whatever work you're putting out there, that's you in film or video form or whatever visual medium that you're putting out there. So not only is it a creative thing, but it's also an emotional thing, because you can look back and say, this is how I felt in the time that I made it. And I'm glad that I felt it. I felt it at that time because I can share it with the people, specifically across Circle K and in the CNH district division and home club as well. So with that, I'd say go full send. And what I mean by that is your journey will never be the same as anyone else's. That's just a fact. No one is really born the same way. So there's no reason to copy each other all their lives. Yeah, it'll just never be the same. Another piece of advice is live your life to the fullest because your experience will guide you. I made that closing slideshow because not because I learned all these camera tricks and editing skills. It was because I experienced life. And using the tools of cameras and editing programs, that helped me tell my story the way I wanted to. Now, this is really important, especially on the district level, is you have to understand your target audience. You can create something that means so much to you, but if no one cares about it, then there's no point. So you have to, in a sense, you have to show that you are sort of, I don't want to say obsessed, but you are totally engrossed in the work that you do. And it shows, because the end product is going to see that, you know, you've inserted yourself into the piece you created. There's no better time to start than now. And I actually mean it, because cameras are now much more affordable. There are so many tutorials on YouTube where you can learn how to shoot, how to frame, how to edit, what kind of song you want, what's the tone and mood. It's literally out there now. No one could have done this like 10 years ago. So it's an emerging industry. And to anyone who is interested in videography or filmmaking, start now, because this is the time now. I challenge you to get out there safely, of course, and make something that identifies you as a creator, but more importantly, as an individual. Again, this goes back to me saying you have to believe in the story you're telling more than anyone else. And I quote from master filmmaker Martin Scorsese, "The most personal is the most creative." Actually, this was said by Bong Joon-ho when he won the Oscar, when he quoted Martin Scorsese that, but apparently Scorsese said it himself, so I just quoted him directly. It's difficult to be personal in the work that you do, because, you know, that's a sign of vulnerability. But you know, if you're comfortable with it, and that's something that you're willing to share with the world, or with a group of friends, or even across the CNH district, this is something that I would appreciate the most as an audience member, because now I can relate to the creator. I can relate to someone who made it. Yeah. And that is a wrap on visual storytelling through the moving image. There we go. If you need to contact me, if you want to contact me, I have a Facebook, which is right there. My Instagram is Dang It Nathan. And on the picture on the left, those are my predecessors. So on the left is Andy Nguyen from FTC 2018, who made that super fire video, and Ralph Gamboa in the center, who also made a super fire video. And so we have there's like a picture of 3 of us in there, and I thought that was cool. Shoot me a message if you need a one-on-one, if you're interested in Fall Training Conference Committee, specifically media chairs. I heard that there are now 2 media chair positions. I don't know.
No.
2?
No.
Media and media content. There we go.
Yeah.
Specifically media and media content chair positions. If you have any questions about the position itself, talk to Jason, talk to me as well. Or if you want to say hi, or if you want to ask how my surgery went, in case y'all are thinking about it but don't know what to do about it, just, yeah, let me know. So with that being said, I hope you guys have taken tangible things out of this as much as you've taken intangible lessons out of today's workshop. So thank you so much. I hope to see some beautiful works in the future. And that is it. Thank you, guys.